Karen Carpenter came from a background where somebody called the shots. Everybody has a family and everybody has family dynamics, but it's quite clear from everything that we read and learn about the family that the family was basically controlled by her mother. Once it was discerned that Richard had a musical talent, everything in the family fell into line behind Richard's musical talent. So the picture that you get of Karen as a little girl is, but I'm good at handstands, but I'm pretty, and always you got, shh, Richard's practicing. Mrs. Carpenter didn't like Richard's girlfriends, and Karen supported her mother, and it's like a little girl saying, I'm doing what you're doing, Mummy. Look, can I have the kiss now because I'm doing what you would want me to do? But it's savage, and Richard, poor devil, never had the nous or the emotional energy to say, guys, my life. So both of them are tied into this unholy alliance with their family, which gets sanctified in the name of family values. For Karen, to sit behind the drums meant hanging on to being Karen, being a bit of a tomboy, so she could wear jeans and a shirt because you need to wear trousers to do a drum, to work drums. Then along comes Richard and he says, we've done this now, Karen, I really want you to come out from behind the drums. And so did the managers, because she had this beautiful voice. So she comes out from behind the drums, she loses her protection. She has to be seen. And if you have grown up in a family where you were a tomboy, and it now isn't acceptable for you to be a tomboy, you're supposed to be a quote-unquote real girl, the first thing you attack is your weight. When you are up there in the public eye, or you begin to be up there in the public eye, sooner or later, no matter how talented you are, sooner or later, people around you, professionally and personally, start saying, you look a bit better with a few pounds off. The world is full of people who work next door to battered wives and don't know they're battered. The world is full of loving families who contain an anorexic child or a drug-addicted child, and they don't know that the child is abusing drugs or food. If the child, the sufferer, doesn't want you to see that he or she has the illness, and you as the parent or the brother don't want to see that he or she has the illness, that's a lockout. We don't want to see it. That's how it flourishes. Now look at this family, the Carpenter's family, utterly decent, totally consumed by their particular ethos. There is no place in that for a psychological illness. There was no improvisation, not by a note, not by a word, not by the tapering of a phrase. Oh boy, did we have a controlling personality or two here. And when you have a controlling personality to that extent, and it has something that it can't control, which is how people feel about it, it turns in on itself, and it literally consumes itself. The bodily signs that would have been seen by people round her, she would have been a dreadful colour. She might have smelt very bad. You can mask the colour with tan and with makeup, but she would not have looked healthy, even if she was made up, coiffed, put together. You know, she just wouldn't have looked right. In extreme forms of anorexia, you produce a fine growth of hair over the body, which is a desperate response to the body to try and keep it warm. Most of the signs will have been the signs around what we think of as normal behaviour around food. You would finish, you know, you'd get to 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the morning and say, hey guys, you know, should we have a sandwich and a drink? And Karen will have had half the drink and managed to lose all the sandwich or pick at one corner at it. He did her a favour, in one sense. He pushed her in a direction. He said, you can do this. Stop being a little girl. Stop inhabiting those lyrics in this kind of way. Come on. You're over 30 years old. You must have feelings about this. You've got this great voice. Come on, let's do something with it. It is very common for anorexics to say, but I just want to be married, but I just want to have a child. And they do get married and they do have a child and they go right on abusing food. Karen went to New York ultimately to seek the advice of Stephen Levenkron, who had been recommended to her as an expert in eating disorders, which he undoubtedly is. There are many experts in eating disorders, and it's like finding a hairdresser or a shirt maker. You have to find the one that works for you. He put himself at her disposal. He made what therapists call a contract with her. He would do this, she would do that. He's very honest. He said, I couldn't stop her taking laxatives, but she would at least tell me if she'd used them. I think if you think of Karen Carpenter's professional and personal life in terms of a long, dark room with a window at one end of it, I think between them, Phil Ramone and Stephen Levenkron opened the shutters of that window for a little while. She couldn't stand the light. It was just too painful. She pushed it away and went back to California and went back on the treadmill. It killed her. When you look at the lyrics of the songs which became the greatest hits for the Carpenters, which are articulated by the voice of Karen Carpenter, you see something which is not unusual in performing artists. You hear Karen say in her songs what she couldn't say in her life.